The stance adopted by the Attorney General's Department over the recent past with respect to certain high-profile cases has come under a great deal of scrutiny and public debate.
That's right. Social media has been rife with reaction to the most recent development where the Attorney General in a press release justified its stance with regard to cases filed against Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited and Kumaran Padmanathan.
The AG's department is vested with a diverse role and with a great responsibility to ensure that justice is meted out. With regard to criminal matters, the AG's department has a task of evaluating evidence in order to decide whether there are sufficient grounds to indict or discharge a suspect. In order to reach this conclusion, the Attorney General must work closely with the investigative arm of the state, which may be the Criminal Investigations Department or Special Investigations Unit of the Police, as a case may require both the AG's department and the investigative officers to work efficiently and expediently with the main aim of securing justice. While the AG's department once came under the Ministry of Justice, under the previous government, it was brought under the purview of the President under one of his portfolios.
Under the previous government, the AG's department was brought under the purview of the President. At present, that is not the situation. The AG's department operates under the subject minister. We are aware that some unlawful and illegal acts took place within the framework of the law. Because of that, sometimes criminal cases cannot be filed on those incidents. Previously, the Attorney General's department was the most exemplary department in the country, and the Attorney General was considered as a respectable individual. However, the AG's department is not respected as much as it was respected before. The reason is because the AG's department was politicized over the recent past in an unnecessary manner. As a result, the politicization of the AG's department has prevented the talented attorneys at the department from acting independently to their fullest potential. When you take the case of Avantgarde into consideration, it was much of a publicized issue. However, what has happened today? The AG's department has said that the prosecutions can be instituted only if there is sufficient and admissible evidence. If that is the case, why was it not mentioned before? If it was said before, the government would not have fallen into such a situation. It can be understood that it was used against political enemies. According to my opinion, it is the Attorney General's department that needs to be held accountable for this situation, as they did not provide the appropriate instructions to the government.
Over the recent past, the actions of the AG's department with regard to certain cases came under scrutiny.
We have credible evidence with us to prove these claims. Therefore, we have no issue in naming persons. The Deputy Solicitor General had made a recommendation of 3 pages to the Attorney General. The recommendation clearly states that the law of the country had been violated. This is an instance where Avantgarde had violated the law. He had recommended that a case be filed. He had recommended for legal procedures. One of the persons is the owner of Avantgarde, Nisanka Senadipati. The others include Gotabaya Rajapaksa. When a Deputy Solicitor General makes a recommendation to the AG can inquire from the other Deputy Solicitor Generals on this matter. Based on the information we have, the other 3 Deputy Solicitor Generals had made oral and written submissions. The AG is the head of the institution. If he feels that the submissions are incorrect, he can call for another inquiry from the Deputy Solicitor Generals. However, such an inquiry had not been made and a decision was given. The Attorney General did not follow the proper procedure at the department. We see this as a grave wrong committed by the Attorney General's department.
How can the Secretary of Defence form an institution like this without informing the Cabinet? How was it operated? How did an unconstitutional act come into effect? The labour laws have been violated. There are doubts that the armed gangs were involved in the shooting in Valiveria. We could not prove this, and that is why this is important. What the Attorney General says should apply to him. The respect for the AG's department is no more. Under the Firearms Ordinance, bail cannot be granted for possessing a pistol, gun or even a knife. It is unbailable. It is said that the floating armory was rented out to Somalia. They say that weapons were sold and rented out. In this backdrop, there are views being expressed by the public over the release of the passports of these people.
ඒ සියලු දෙනාගේ passport release කරපේ ගැන ජනතාව අතර යම් යම් මත තියෙනවා. මෙහෙ නෙමෙයි ඉන්දියාවේ. නැත්තම් මට නඩු වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. මම කියන්නේ මේක හරිම පුදුම තත්ත්වයක්.
The role of the Attorney General in deciding on a criminal prosecution is based on the material which is placed before him by the investigating officers. Once the investigating officers, that is the police, present to the Attorney General the relevant information or extracts and investigation notes, he has to make a considered decision on the material available whether he would prosecute a person on particular charges and also on what charges a person should be prosecuted. Now, in that, when the Attorney General has to take that call, he has to do that impartially. He cannot take decisions which people want him to take or popular decisions. He has to look at the facts, look at the law, and take a decision according to law, keeping in mind what the prospects are of a conviction, of an ultimate conviction.